All right, everybody, I'm back with another book review for you. My name is Bill Jones, head instructor of top-level martial arts in beautiful downtown Cuyahoga Falls. I'm a black belt under Master Pedro Sauer, and you're watching Professor's Corner. Hey, don't forget to comment. Let me know what your favorite jiu-jitsu book is. I'd love to hear it. Hey, guys, just so you know, my office is a mess. We're literally moving into our new location right now. And as we're doing it, I'm going through and I'm seeing all these books that I've read and thought, well, this is the best time to give you a second part on this. So there's a number of them in here. I'll reference all of them, but I'll tell you my favorites for sure. Now, I already talked about what I consider the Bible of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to be, and that is Jiu Jitsu University. We've talked about this a little bit. Some people asked questions about it. I'm not going to go over it again. This is by Saulo Ribeiro. It's an amazing book. Talks about how he sees the different levels go through jiu-jitsu. So, for example, at white belt, you're working on just defending. On blue belt, you're working mostly on escapes. By the time you get to purple belt, you're probably escaping a lot, so you get to your guard. Brown belt, you're probably getting lots of sweeps, so you start working on guard passing, and black belt, you start working on submitting. Now, to be clear, that's not saying that you don't learn submissions before black belt. Absolutely, you do. And if you are a white belt or a blue belt or whatever, this might sound condescending, but I don't mean it to. But in general, from the point of view of someone who's been doing it for 15, 20 years, you're not that good at submitting, even though you're getting submissions on other people. So that's kind of the perspective it's taking it from, is when do you get really dangerous to other black belts? So it's kind of taking a top-down look at jiu-jitsu and how an instructor sees it. So that's a great book. I highly recommend it. The next one I recommend it is by Renzo Gracie, and it's called Mastering Jiu-Jitsu. You notice he even has the old school spelling of jiu-jitsu. Now, this is one of the few that are not all super colorful like you're used to seeing, and that does harm the book a little bit in so much as, it's not as easy to look at. But this one, in my opinion, is great for learning about the history of jiu-jitsu, less for technique. But there's a lot of great history in here. And it was also, you can see that John has had his hands in everything since jiu-jitsu came to the U.S., by the way. But he was one of the co-authors on this. So a lot of good information in that book. I highly recommend it. The next one is called Submit Everyone by Dave Camarillo. He is a judoka, was a world-class judoka who basically did a lot of stuff that made certain techniques get eliminated in judo, get it made illegal, specifically like flying techniques, arm bars and stuff. I always jokingly say that this book should be called Arm Bar Everybody, because it's mainly a billion ways to get an arm bar. And he's very good at it, very skilled, of course, amazing takedowns. And it's just got an interesting perspective, too. It's kind of written like a field manual. So that's just interesting, if nothing else. So it's a book that I recommend. Not that one. The next one we're going to look at here, it's actually a couple of them that I really like by the same guy. JJ Machado with Kid Peligro. And this one's John and JJ Machado. It's called Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Championship Techniques. And there's a lot of great stuff. This one is just full-on techniques. A little bit of theory in the beginning about like the kinds of things he thinks you should be working out. Tournament preparation. The importance that he places on drills. Things of that nature. Competition strategy. Like what to do when you're up on points, down on points. That kind of thing. So I like right here, you can see situational strategies. Points are even. Points are behind, ahead on points. I think that's a really good thing that a lot of people don't really do in jiu-jitsu, especially in books, is go over that strategy. And then it's really very much, it's got a bunch of drills in it that you can do, but it's a lot of techniques. The one downside I'll say is that it's still less organized than some of the newer books, because this one came out in the 90s. So it's not like, it doesn't say like, okay, here's guard techniques and then have like all the what ifs. It feels much more like a collection of moves than a specific strategy. But it's a very good book, and if you've already got some decent jiu-jitsu, I'd say if you're a mid-white belt, blue belt, something like that, you might want to pick this up. You can probably get it pretty inexpensively right now because it's a pretty old book. Next one is similar in nature. This one is by Hoyler Gracie. Hoyler is a multi-time world champion. All these guys are world champions. You know how it is. Similar to the book we just looked at, it's going to feel more of a collection of moves than a specific strategy. But again, good book. Talks a lot about grip fighting, which is something a lot of books don't go over. I like that a lot about it. It also has a lot of drills. And I think that's something that a lot of books are missing, are the drills in jiu-jitsu. And I'm not talking drills like doing a move over and over again. I'm talking about methods of training the mechanics. There's a great book that I don't have on me called Drill to Win by Andre Galvon that's phenomenal as well. And that's all it is drills to better your balance, to better your movements, to better your mechanics. All of that is really good to have. The next one, Black Belt Techniques by JJ Machado, or Jean-Jacques Machado. If you're looking it up and just type JJ, you may not find it. Similar to the first one we talked about, it's going to feel like a collection of moves, but these are techniques that he uses. And guys, I mean, there's moves in here that I see athletes teaching today, and they're like, oh yeah, I came up with this because, and it's because they didn't have anybody teach you. You're like, over time, you're going to have moves that you, quote, developed on your own. Doesn't mean they're new. It just means that you didn't have to have someone teach you. You just understood the mechanic. So that's why I get confused when people are like, oh yeah, this is that's old school jiu-jitsu, or this is new school jiu-jitsu. Like, I've read a lot of books on jiu-jitsu, and I've seen a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of things that are simply just repeating themselves that maybe people who are younger just never got a chance to see the older guys do, because they're very old now, so they're not moving the same way. But anyway, something like this move right here, I saw Keenan do in one of his videos and was like, yeah, I've never seen this before. It's something I developed. Guys, here it is right here from 1993. So these books are phenomenal resources. And the thing I like them better than a video, and the problem with a video I have is that you have to go find it again, right? Like, to me, that's the issue. Whereas a book, I can kind of take it with me, look at it, analyze it. Now, you don't get the explanation that you do in a video, so there's always pros and cons, and of course none of it is a replacement for an instructor, but it's a great book. I highly recommend it. Now, if you're under Gracie lineage, I always recommend the book The Gracie Way by Kid Peligro. I am going to warn you, it is considered a little bit biased by some people, but that doesn't make it unimportant. So just always remember that. Sure, it could be biased. So what do you do to mitigate that? You go buy books by other people and read theirs too. And the full truth is probably somewhere in the middle usually. But it's a great book that talks about the history of jiu-jitsu. And what I like most is like the history of how the Gracie Academy developed, and the way the Academy ran, things like that I really dig. Stuff it's less about who was best and all that, and more about like, this is just how things were run, and this is the stuff that happened. And I really enjoyed the beginning of it because it talks about the history of jiu-jitsu. Specifically starts with Helio Gracie and Carlos Gracie. So it's a great book, and it talks about specifically in here is Carlos, Carlson, Horian, Hickson, Hoyce, Helio, Holes, Carlos Jr., Hoyler, Henzo. So not everybody's in it, but it's a good book nonetheless. So now, if you've been looking around and trying to find the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Master Text by Helio Gracie, I believe it's just called Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, you're going to find that it's really hard to get a hold of. So if you have trouble finding that book, another great book that you can get is Gracie Submission Essentials. And the reason I recommend this is a lot of the moves from that master text, so to speak, are in this book. And I think it's important to know that and understand that, like, it doesn't have everything from it, but it definitely has Helio Gracie demonstrating, some of his favorite moves. And yeah, they're basic, but the guy's 95 years old or something, 92 years old when he wrote this book. And like, as we get older, we're not going to be doing fancy things anymore. And I still want to be doing jiu-jitsu when I'm older. So it's a great look at how jiu-jitsu changes as you age. I guess that's the way to look at it. But it also has some of those basic moves that are in the master text, so it's a good supplement to that piece. I want to show you this because Eddie Bravo, in my opinion, puts out some of the best content. So this one's the Twister. It's great if you want to learn the Twister. I'm a huge fan. But the reason I like it so much is because he's really good at organizing his books so that it gives you a full-on strategy. Like, you start here, and then if this doesn't work, it's almost like where it's like choose your own adventure. Like this, you go to page B or you go to the yellow section. This one's all color-coded. Maybe I can get you to be able to see that. And like if something from like this section happens, it'll tell you to go to yellow section or so forth and so on. And that'll help you in learning how these things work. I really like that about this book. So it's good at teaching you not just a collection of moves, but also how they fit together. So guys, those are some of my favorite ones. Marcelo Garcia also has some great content out there, but this video is going on pretty long. I don't want to go too long. If you have a favorite book, do me a favor, put it in the comments. There's a ton of them out there. These are just some of the ones I've picked up over the years. So let me know what you like. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later.